As we follow the current events, you encouraged us to pay attention to what is being communicated. And so how do we distinguish those that help us construct healthy identities from those that do not, as we look at the media?
I think it is important to start by seeing what are the key images and concepts that we have. I mean, what are the images that startle you, and what are the images that don't? And so that it was interesting, for example, a picture of a woman in a short skirt dancing costume is something that nobody seemed to expect in that particular audience, as opposed to somebody with a long gray beard, if I'm talking about Islamic movements and things like that. So that I would say that some of the key issues and key problems are simply to really start to realize what it is that we're talking about when we're using words like religion, when we're using words like nationalism, when we're using words like revolution. Because in the 21st century, these terms tend to have totally different meanings. And it's once we start looking at that, then we can also deal with the question of who are the people that are involved in this activity, whatever it is, and how do I relate to them.
And as students studying the Middle East and the Arab region, how do we see what is happening currently in the region as distinctly regional, whether it be Arab or Middle Eastern, at the same time global?
I think that this is one of those areas where our terminology gets in the way. I think that if in the 21st century we are seeing something as being distinctively Middle Eastern, we are missing the point of what's going on. I think rather the distinction is between particular and local. How do we distinguish what is distinctively local about the demonstrations in Tahrir, and how do we distinguish those demonstrations from what's going on in Bahrain or what went on in Tunisia? That there are shared commonalities in all of these demonstrations, but there are also distinctive localnesses. And I think one of the most interesting to me is the minority-majority kind of relationships. In Tunisia, you really don't have any minorities, and therefore it's very different from what happened in Maidan Tahrir, where you had also Coptic Christians who were involved. And so that one of the stories, one of the particular stories, then one of the local stories was what's the relationship between the Tahrir demonstrations and Muslim-Christian relations. In a place like Syria or Bahrain, again, you're dealing with the commonality is you're dealing with a relatively autocratic regime, but then you have the locality of really a diverse population in Syria and a distinctive divided population in Bahrain. So that rather than saying what is distinctively Arab world or what is distinctively Middle East, there are certain things that are distinctively local or distinctively particularist in contrast to the broader cosmopolitan and more global dynamics.
Thank you so much.
Okay.